Welcome to 7-2's coverage of the 2019 TIO NTFL season. Today is the elimination final from TIO Stadium between Waratah and Darwin Buffaloes. These sides met in the final round of the home and away last week at Gardens Oval, Tah's home ground, where the Tahs annihilated the Buffs 19-9, 123 to the Buffaloes 7-5, 47. They've met one other time this year here at TIO in round 6 when the Buffaloes were successful by 13 points, 12-11 to 10-10. With me last week was the manager of Talent and Pathways at AFLNT, Wally Gallio. There are 4 big changes to both sides today. Can the Buffs turn it around?
Yeah, well, the Buffs looked like they could have turned it around with the ends they had, but late withdrawals from Cameron Stokes and Malcolm Roses has sort of left them a bit short in that area. Cameron Stokes, I thought last week, was one of the players, along with Joey Anderson, that really tried all day, and Malcolm Roses was really active up forward and gave them that spark that they needed at times, but just didn't have enough players to help him. But you look at Waratahs with the ends of Abe Anchors around the midfield, and Joel Stevens, that's an up-and-coming rising star that I think they're pretty well balanced and could do it again today, Rob. Those 4 changes out. Joe Arundel, perhaps a bit stiff, kicked 2 goals for Tahs last week. Douglas Davies, who during the week was Div 1 best and fairest, and Liam O'Connor in, as Wally mentioned, Anchors Stevens. Geordie McKenzie, who played almost 80 games for Melbourne from 2012 to 2015, pretty handy player, and James Ray, who's been a terrific player for many years for the Tahs. And the 2 big outs, definitely Cam Stokes, and a late one in the warm-up was Mel Roses, as Wally mentioned. And so the 4 out on top of those 2, Stokes and Roses, Armat and Paul, the big ruckman, in. Liam Philpott, some nice ins for the Buffs in the captain coach Matt Campbell. Chris Williams, congratulations, passed his fireman's test during the week. He's back after some soft tissue injuries and wanted to save himself for that test, but he's back, and a very important player, I think a bit underrated, is Chris Williams. And Darryl White, the veteran, a 3-time premiership player of the Brisbane Lions. You weren't with us, you had to work last week, Ricky, but where do those changes, where do you sit with those changes for the 2 teams?
Yeah, I think probably Tahs have got stronger, haven't they? But I think beware the wounded buffalo in a final series. So they had that experience last year in a final series, and I reckon that can count for a lot. And I think it'll be a lot closer than what people think, even though there's been 2 massive outs before the game starts.
We love Shem Tutupu in the ruck last week. He came in the second half of the first and second quarters. He's got the red dye through the hair today. He's down at full forward, and Westerberg will take ruck against Chris Atkinson. Westerberg won the first tap. Brodie Carroll was terrific. Got a handle on the footy, then he's overrun in the contest, but somehow fed the ball out. Chance there for Stokes. Jared slapping along the ground. Cleverly to Williams was Campbell. Inside 50. Front position is White. He had enough of the football. It's paid. It was knocked out of his grasp at the last moment. But White will line up for the first goal of the afternoon. A big in. He played in Div 1 last week to qualify for finals. Got a bit of a knee issue. He and Campbell were apparently in the ice baths last night. Yeah, they were. They were in the ice baths last night, and I talked to Darwin. He's had 2 weeks ago, he had a quarter-zone in it to get it right for the final series, and he's got the leg pretty right. It's a kick away to the left, however, and the first score of the elimination final. The winner of this will go through to pay the loser of the next game here at TIO Stadium between the Southern District Crocs and the Tiwi Bombers. The kick comes out, and Abe Anchors, a big in for Waratah, marks it half back in front of Paul Campbell. He's got Brodie Carroll short. Very breezy afternoon, as you can no doubt hear through the microphones. Pretty much coming across the ground. I don't think it's favouring either end. Ricky, you've coached many times here. St Mary's Premiership coach?
No, I think, yeah, as you said, I think the grandstand stops and the breeze is coming from the seaside with the Michael Long Centre. I don't think there'll be an advantage either way.
Into Sam Bono, front position, couldn't complete the mark, but he's clever at ground level. Vacant goal square. The kick is curling around. Running back Jalen Clark. Ball has too much carry. The second behind of the Buffs.
I reckon they've started well, Buffs. I'm very wary of Buffs today. It's a bit of an us versus them mentality, and I just reckon when Buffalo's Football Club are like that, they can pull off a miracle. And I reckon they've started well, but it would have been handy to get these early goals to get some momentum.
So around the outer side, Gooch, who was terrific last week in defence for Waratah. Nice pinpoint pass, and Westerberg marks on the outer side in front of the scoreboard. He goes short up towards half forward, and Carroll's everywhere in the early stages, although that kick might have been out of bounds in the full. So sloppy skill there. Brodie Carroll's starting this week where he left off last week. Robbie was very good, and that got them going in the back end of that first quarter, and then was brilliant in the last 3 quarters. Well, the odd thing about last week, Wally, it was all Buffaloes in the first 15 minutes of the game, wasn't it? And in fact, halfway through the second quarter, it was 6-2 apiece. But after that, it was 13 goals to 1. An incredible performance by Waratah. as Moroney comes through. It spills though. Chance here for Cantilla. He's stripped of the football and penalised for holding the ball, and Stevenson will clear out to Moroney. He dashes from half back. He's got Shillabeer on the lead. Awkward, but takes it cleverly. Just in between the hands and the chest mark, that one, but he held on to it. And Shillabeer looks like he's got the roving commission again. Wally, he played on the wing a bit in the first half last week.
Yeah, he played up really high. Him and Johnston kept on swapping over backwards and forwards, and Shillabeer certainly, he's got the work rate. We know he can play, and his final series, apart from the grand final, were very good last year.
Westerberg and White in ruck out of the goal square. Chris Williams couldn't take the footy with him. Tars go to the wing. It's Barrett, couldn't complete the mark. Atkinson squeezes out to Williams. It's Kelvin Williams. Shillabeer bumped off the footy. Good strong play by Godden. He looked injured last week, but he's bounced back. And kicks to Tutupu, who holds the mark, too big and strong in front of Joe Anderson. No mean feat. But I reckon Tutupu's got, what, 5, 6 centimetres on Anderson and probably about 8 kilos. In goes Anchors from 30 on the run. First goal of the elimination final goes to the Tars. They lead by 4 points.
The biggest thing I'm noticing so far in this game is both sides are very keen to go into fast plays from defence. So each time there's been a contested mark taken in the back half, both sides are very quick to go into fast plays. So typical Darwin finals football. I think we'll see a high tempo game. So.
There's not a bad matchup between Shem Tapuku and Joey Anderson, as you said. Shem's got the bit more weight and a bit more height, but Joey's competitive nature and his athleticism, it's going to be a great battle down there.
Just improved week after week. It takes a while to get used to Darwin footy. I think he didn't get up here to about Christmas time, but he's improved every week to Puzu.
Johnston's gone into the ruck. It's possibly one area they do have the edge, Waratah, with Westerberg and Tutupu. The kick goes inside, attacking 50. Overrunning it was Jalen Anderson. Pressure coming from the Tars defence, and there'll be a ball up. One player they are missing is Ryan O'Sullivan, who's played for the last couple of weeks. A very mobile 38-year-old the Buffs have used the last couple of years.
Miles is another one who reckons a gun that can play in the ruck as well. It's not out there.
Jalen Clark quickly throws the ball on the boot to the top of the square. Sambona did well to get rid of his man McCarthy. Chance here for Bradley Stokes. Clever kick, but it's across the face. Will bounce and still in play, is it? The whistle is blown and is over the shoulder, so a Buffalo free kick. And they get a chance to regain the lead from the left forward pocket.
And we must make mention of Jalen Clark playing his 100th Premier League game today for the Buffaloes. He's been a junior there and he's come through the Thunder program, and he's been a great stalwart at Darwin in his 100 games, and he also coaches their under-16s.
I think it's important Buff score here. They've got to start applying some scoreboard pressure, which will create momentum.
Bradley Stokes pokes at the ball and steers it across the face through for a behind. 3 behinds to the Waratah, 1 straight.
3 times they could have scored, Buffs. They need to start applying pressure on the scoreboard.
Flanagan. Pressure came there from Philpott. Brodie Carroll. Again, the defence working well, as it did after about halfway through the second quarter last week, Tars. Only as far as Stevenson, though. Chops it off on the wing. Looking for Jackson Clark. Through comes Jared Stokes. Gathers the footy inside the centre square. He wants Mitchell. Mitchell does well to spoil away to Culhane. The late inclusion for Roses. Comes back to Jackson Clark. Still Culhane. He's got pace. He can't quite get a handle on the football. And it's the Tars through Simpson. Throws it on the left boot. Spilt by Moroney. He's got support though. The Buffs through Marty Corrie at half-back and steady. Handy in here is Campbell. He's been suspended for the past 3 matches. Gathered the awkward ball. Wants Bradley Stokes. He had some company. Good strong tackle there came from Karanua. It's against Stokes. Tars' intensity's good.
Most improved player in the competition, I reckon, this bloke, and I can see Matty Campbell's going to pick him up as much as he can. So that again, Karanua Campbell will be a terrific matchup. 4
goals last week. In towards Cantilla. Karanua, there's the danger man you spoke of. Handball back to Cantilla is chopped out. Clever play. That was a throw, surely, there by Moroney, not paid. He went to handball, was taken in a tackle, and, well, came off one arm, I thought. Up towards centre half forward. Culhane, Clever, can he gather? He's got a rider for company, goes to ground, cleverly gives it to Jalen Clark, must goal, and does. First one of the Buffs. They lead by 3 points, 1-3 to 1 straight.
Yeah, Buffs are playing a different game that they played. Oh, sorry, they're playing a similar game they did in the first quarter, where they're trying to keep possession of the ball, trying to use it short, trying to isolate their forwards, and also they continued to do that in the first part of the quarter. Then they started kicking the ball long down the line, and Waratah's caught them in between by playing the short game. So, as Rick said, the intensity's been good by both sides, and the matchups are really good. So it's interesting to see how it pans out for the next 5 or 6 minutes of this quarter.
Something interesting is the Buff supporters down the St Mary's in a final. I've never seen that before, ever. It's a bit funny with having Waratahs down the Buffalo's end.
Johnston up against Westerberg. Toma, who was good last week, kicked a couple of goals. The midfielder wins the ball again in the Karanua direction. There's a matchup Ricky Nolan's talking about with Campbell. Karanua good. Slap the ball down away from Moroney. Wants a teammate, comes to Chris Williams. His handball to Jared Stokes. Back to Johnson. He's in all sorts of trouble. Beautiful tackle. Play on call. No advantage. And now a free kick in the back goes to Waratahs against Stokes. And it's coming to Flanagan.
Sam Flanagan should go and buy a lotto ticket after that. He should not have played on in that situation. He's got to have a better spatial awareness. Waratahs very lucky.
So, a few nerves out there. It's an elimination final day. Loser is out for season 2018-19. Flanagan had a solid game last week. Didn't kick a goal, but was busy all afternoon in a great team effort by Tars, reminding you that they beat Buffaloes by 76 points. Long kick from Flanagan is terrific. No! Tupu clapped it, and then it just swung away to the right-hand side, and so Tars get a behind. They trail by 2 points.
Fair kick, that was from 55 out, and it's gone through a goalpost high. A bit unlucky.
Corrie to Moroney, gliding by with the top knot is Joe Anderson, looking a lot like his brother Jed. Chopping it off though is Joel Stevens, and the turnover is on.
It's the biggest thing in finals footy is pressure on the ball carrier and turning the footy over. Just can't do it, because here we've got this guy in a one-on-one.
Oh, Tupu spilt the mark. He gets it at ground level, gives the handball off. Chance off the ground here is across the face for another behind. So they're peppering the goals, Tars. They still trail by a point, 1-3 to 1-2. Tupu hands to it. Rick couldn't bring it down.
The more they can get the ball to this bloke in a one-on-one, although Anderson's an absolute gun, it's just then their fleet foot have got to get underneath him.
2-on-1 battle here. Might be won though by Campbell. He's got Stevens for company. He was just held over the shoulder, and the umpire saw it. Ever so subtle, but it was there. Just over the right shoulder of Campbell, trying to slow his run. And the Rising Star nominee gave away the free kick. Campbell kicks towards half forward. Sambono was up at the back. White gives to Mitchell. Low pass looks pretty good to Shillabere, who's gone forward, and they need this man to kick 3 or 4 at least this afternoon. At least give them a contest.
It's a fairly long kick of the football, so I don't think distance will be a problem.
Might be a good gauge on that breeze, which he thinks.
Yeah, it's going right to left, isn't it? Across the ground.
He thumps it pretty long, and it's a way to the left again. Another missed opportunity.
Must be playing something, because it certainly has, as Wally said, gone to right to left the last couple of shots and goals. Waratahs are broken a little bit too early here. The bloke doesn't even have the ball in his hands.
Bailey Zobel does nearly all the kicking in. Finds McCarthy.
It's the 4th time straight they've gone short from a fullback kick out, so it's something that Buffs have got to watch.
Tupu must be having a spell on the ball. Came up towards half back, going hard at it. Some holding going on perhaps there. James Ray. Play on Mackenzie, the former Demon. Philpott diving in after him, punches it forward. The Tars have the numbers through Toma. Oh, that was clever. Dropped the footy, but balked around Atkinson. Kicks inside a fairly vacant forward 50, charging out Joe Anderson, gets rid of Cantilla, comes to Westerberg. His sweeping handball to a teammate, now to Karanua. Sidestep was excellent. Low kick, not so good, but he's got a man free. 30 metres out, it is Cantilla. But unfortunately, his kick doesn't have enough heat on it, and the last line of defence is Moroney, who gives to Chris Williams. Streaming down the outer side. Culhane offers a lead. Will he be able to grab it before it goes out of bounds? He can't. But in good space for the Buffs on their left half forward flank.
Smart Keranua there. He just didn't blaze away because they had nothing on the goal square. So he tried to do a tricky kick inside to King Cantilla.
And Kevin Moroney took the right option. He dropped off his man and went to the goal square.
Socket off the ground and holding the ball decision going against Tupu.
Yeah, he took the ball out of the ruck on the full and was tackled correctly.
Atkinson kicks inside 50. Shillabeer front position. Good spoil away, but Shillabeer at ground level. Then Bork's out of trouble. Goes to ground. Tries to farm the handball out. Comes to Anchors. Makes about 20 metres along the outer side. Ball stays in. Tars can set up another attack, but to no one except Matty Campbell. Coach of the Darwin Buffaloes has missed the last 3 weeks. Important inclusion. Finds Chris Williams. Really rate this guy, Wally.
Yeah, he's just a consistent player. He doesn't do anything fancy. He's just in hard at the footy, and just his work rate's pretty good at this level of football. Fortunately
turned over, came to Ray in the direction of Westerberg. Anderson again there right behind him, spoils it out of bounds. So nothing at the moment would indicate the high scoring of last week. It did break open the longer the game went on.
Yeah, I think that'll often happen in finals footy. A bit of nerves, a bit of fumbles, and should be a close-in game.
Atkinson got his way to the front. Tap down. Shillabeer's got 2 to beat, but the ball carried straight into his arms. And he's able to wheel around and kick in the white direction. Clears him. Culhane up against Waratah. Waratah's pretty quick. He's outstripping Culhane. Culhane just sitting off him, waiting to lay the tackle. Got support through Sam Bono. Handball wasn't good enough. He had White waiting for it, but the good pressure from the Tars defence, and it's out of bounds.
I'll go a step further. Outstanding Waratah's defence to clear that footy out. Although they're in trouble, it was a 3-on-3, and usually Buffs get them with pace when the ball goes over the back. But I reckon Shillabeer, he's started pretty well, but that's the key, is to get the ball over the back and let Buffalo's pace do its trick. But Waratahs were outstanding there.
Left half forward for the Buffs. Smashed down. Only as far as Shillabeer, who bullocks his way through, but is taken down and penalised for holding the ball.
A bit unlucky there. He was having a bit of a crack at the footy. So touch unlucky.
I think the coaching staff would be pleased to see that, though, wouldn't they, Ricky?
Yeah,
he's been quiet this year.
He would be over the air. He's not the standard of last year, that's for sure. So
he started well.
He
started well today.
Runner-up in the best and fairest for the competition last year, the Nichols medal. I don't think he's played quite as many games this year. Certainly hasn't kicked as many goals. Tupu's having another spell on the ball. He's up against Chris Atkinson. Tupu held his ground, won the tap, flipped one over the top to Carroll, who's tackled. Play on. Comes to Philpott, wanted trap. It was a bit throw in the end. Good strong tackling again by Waratah. It's a key factor in their resurgence last week. In the Ray direction, the kick too high slightly. Corrie. Ray just got a touch on it, so Corrie wasn't played the mark. And it comes to Anchors. And now Stevens looks for Westerberg. He wanted a holding the man decision against Anderson. He's getting an over the shoulder one instead. Anderson isn't happy, but Westerberg, who kicked a couple last week, resting forward, will line up for from about 40 metres out.
Yeah, he kicked their first 2 goals last week as that forward. He also changed really well with Shem Tapuku in that first half, and it looks like now that there's a 50-metre penalty. Buffalo players had a little bit too much to say to Mark Noonan, so Mark doesn't muck around with that, and they find themselves marched down the line 50. Should be an easy goal for Westerberg.
Certainly is, and the lead back to the Tars. 2-2-14, Darwin 1-4-10, and while that was happening, there's about 4 changes on each bench.
Yeah, they're changing the rotations are going really well, so I think that's what sort of Buffs didn't do as well last week. Their rotations off the bench were slow, but this time they're a little bit more organised, a little bit faster as well.
Just the importance of playing in front. Westerberg was in front, then got the free kick. The one before that went down there, he just let Anderson beat him to the footy, and Anderson trod the ball out of the back line. So just shows the importance of a footballer being in front, and Westerberg was in front, and that occasion was rewarded.
Johnston goes off the ground for the Buffaloes. Culhane from behind against Waratah. Spills to Jalen Clark. High kick. White is waiting under it. Couldn't take it at the second attempt. Sambono comes in. wanting a free kick, the Buffalo fans. Sambono goes again.
It's a lot better pressure by Buffs, and they really squeezed in on the football and didn't let Waratahs get that ball moving laterally like they did earlier in the piece.
Right forward pocket for the Buffs. Pretty windy conditions, but not really favouring either end. Shillabeer up against Tutupu. Shillabeer, free kick going to Tutupu. A push in the ruck contest.
Not a fan of those free kicks. The only thing I don't like with that I'll ever pick on with umpiring, I'll ever say this: let the big blokes go at it.
They can look after themselves, you reckon, Ricky?
It's just ridiculous. Let them go at it. Two big boys, Shillabeers and Tupu. That's what we come to see. Let them go at it. Like big bulls, let them go. That's what the crowd wants to see.
Williams flies. Ray had front spot for Waratah. Jackson Clark to Shillabeer. Just a hacked kick, but Shillabeer was playing in front. And he will line up for goal. 45-degree angle. A kick from about 50. He's a thumping kick, though.
Yeah, the distance won't be a problem for him, Rob. It's just a matter of that wind coming across. So last time he tried to hang it out to the right. This time he'll hang it to the right a little bit more, and he's done that, and it stayed straight.
Just snuck in for a behind, so the margin 3 points Waratah's way.
If he can keep this form, they're a chance, Buffs. He has started exceptionally well, Shillabeer.
They've been a bit smarter with the way they've used Johnson too. They've used Johnson in the ruck off the bench with Atkinson, so that's given them some help in the middle of the ground. They've won the last couple of clearances, where Waratah's winning all the clearances last week at the centre bounces.
Tupu showed his strength there. Just the bump on Johnston. Took the mark at half back. Drills it down the throat of Barrett. Barrett looking for Godden.
It'll be quite Sammy Godden. If he gets into the game, it's going to help Waratahs along the way.
Waratah's senior best and fairest winner during the week. Kicks towards half forward. Bowls cleverly edged out of the football by Carroll. Cantilla sweating on Campbell close to the boundary line. It goes out of bounds. Campbell will be happy to see that.
Godden for anchors. So Waratah's changing their midfielders as quickly as they can. Rotate one back.
The run of Roses will be missed as the game goes on, I would have thought, for the Buffs. Sure, Tutupu just stopped then, and Johnston went through and won the tap, and then kicked the ball out of bounds on the full. Just.
I reckon Cameron Stokes he's far from Buff's best player, but I reckon he's really their most important player, just the way he sets things up.
Yeah, he does, Rick.
There's a difference between the best player and a most important player, and I reckon Cameron Stokes is up there as Buffalo's most important player.
Carroll for Tars, wants Westerberg. Anderson read it best, though, in the swirly breeze, and Marks gives it to another former AFL player in Campbell. He gives it to Jared Stokes. Need a little bit more from him. Kicks it a little too long for Moroney, and it's out of bounds. And a skill error in an elimination final, as the nerves bring it out of defence, maybe having a role in that. It's Darwin trailing by 3 points. You're watching 7-2's coverage of the NTFL, thanks to TIO, Naffles, Appia and MacArthur River Mining. Tutupu, strong in the ruck contest. Jared Stokes wins another footy. Can't give it off to advantage. Clever by Corrie. Stole the ball away. Went to Chris Williams. Corrie fighting on hard. The Tars have the numbers around the contest. Tutupu with a big don't argue. His kick is chopped down, though, and it didn't make any distance. And so the Buffalo still a chance to clear through Bowles. Some luck here, able to float a handle over the top to Jared Stokes. He's quick. He's got runners. He's got Mitchell out wide. Can he gather the football? Can't control it. Tackle comes. Back to Stokes, who soccers it hard off the ground into the left forward pocket.
Just fumbles in finals footy. You just can't fumble the ball. He grabs that, gives back to Stokes, and they're a deep entry there. So just finals footy, first grab the footy imperative.
White go up in ruck. And he'll bring it to ground. He's playing for the holding the ball. Soccers it along in front of himself. Jalen Clark on the quarter time siren. It's the Tars by 3 points. 2-2-14. Darwin 1-5-11. 7-2's coverage of the TIO NTFL season elimination final from TIO Stadium. It's Waratah 2-2-14 leading Darwin 1-5-11. The loser is out of the finals race, and the winner will play the loser of this afternoon's other game between the Tiwi Bombers and Southern Districts. Waratah had a huge 76-point win over the Buffaloes in the final round of the home and away last week, and in similar circumstances it was pretty close at quarter time. This was the quarter Waratah really pulled away. What are we going to see today, Wally?
Yeah, well, Going by the first quarter stats, it's pretty much even across the board. The only stat that was really glaring at quarter time last week was that the centre clearances, it was 6 to Waratahs and 2 to Buffaloes, and this time it's even straight up, and there's been a couple of non-clearances as well. So, and the inside 50s are 12 apiece. So if it continues this way, it's going to go right down to the wire. But certainly Waratahs commanded the football last week at this time, going into the second quarter.
Pretty courageous mark by Joel Stephen. No advantage paid. Play on the call. Kick from Bradley Stokes to the top of the square, being held off the footy by Mackenzie was Darryl White. Tumbling ball inside is off the hands and through for a behind only. So bright start by Darwin, but only a behind again. 1-6. It's been a bit of a factor in a lot of their games this season. Inaccuracy. Got to make it count on the scoreboard. Stevens is getting busy. He marks in front of Patrick Bowles.
6 times Waratahs have gone short from a fullback kick out.
Bradley Stokes is having a pretty good afternoon, but his kick is Australian and is out of bounds.
Yeah, so it must be, I don't know if it's a bit of a game plan for Tars to try and get short from there, but I think Zabel's a pretty good kick of the footy as well.
Westerberg won the tap with the left palm. Whistle's gone, and Bowles will win a free kick. It's unfortunate. Anchors had cleared the footy.
Yeah, Sam Godden just sort of flicked him after he tackled him and brought him to the ground.
Bowles. Sambono works his way to the front. Good spoil away. Zobel overruns the football for Waratah. Jalen Clark trying to work his way into the game. Culhane has been dangerous. Comes to Jared Stokes. Turns on the afterburners. Away there from Simpson, but his kick is away to the right and through for a behind. He's made a bright start to the game. Though a couple of quieter players last week and important players, Shilby and Jared Stokes, much better today.
Away you Tars.
Kenzie delivers neatly to Gooch. Down the wing. Barrett marks. Up towards half forward. He's got Ray in front. Gets away from Corrie. Side 50 to Tupu. Watched for the body of Anderson. Pushed away. Atkinson claims the mark and is paid. Breaking for him, Campbell. The former North Melbourne player, Buffalo's coach. Back from 3-week suspension to Eddie Trupp. Trupp marks in front of Stevens. Kicks to Maroney, who drops the chest mark. He had it spent before he grabbed the cookie.
That's a point of difference there. Just last week at this time in the second quarter, Buff started going long down the line at this stage. And this time they're really, with Matty Campbell back there, trying to play that short game and trying to work Waratahs over the ball a little bit more than they did this time last week.
Westerberg and Atkinson. Westerberg wins the tap to Toma. Toma centering ball. Ray is busy across half forward.
Get it into the big fella.
He goes short. Tupu holds Anderson off and it runs and trickles. Was it off hands though? No, there's a free kick to Tupu against Anderson, and that's size to Tupu, and a 50-metre penalty again. That's a couple now against the Buffaloes. Not that it was going to be much of a tricky shot anyway. It will now be an absolute certainty for Tupu.
I didn't like that kick to Jimmy Ray's to Tupu. Put it in the air so the boy can mark it. He's a big, strong lad. Now don't kick it out in front of him. They're lucky. Of course, he's in what I'm talking about before. Player in front getting rewarded, but put it in the air so he can use his huge body and his strength.
And again, it's happened that way that Buffalo's had the first 2 scoring shots, kick 2 points, and then Waratahs go down the other end and kick a goal. It's the same as in the first quarter. But you're right, just watching that replay, Rick, that the ball he had goal side of Jed Anderson. All he needed to do was put it up in front of him, and he would have marked that ball easily.
2 of Waratah's 3 goals have come from 50s. That one there was pretty much in front, but he's not a real good set shot from 10 metres in front.
Does,
so
yep.
Don't give it to him.
Missed a couple last week. Shillerby has gone into the ruck Johnson, has gone into the ruck to come to the bench.
Cantilla and Stevenson chase after the ball at left half forward for Waratah. Pretty breezy here. We're in the first level on the concourse at TIO Stadium. AFLW, a huge afternoon of football at Marara TIO Stadium. It's the qualifying final later on between the TIO Bombers and the Southern District Crocs, and tonight it's Fremantle versus Adelaide in AFLW. Anchors on the left boot. The lucky kick. Where's Tutupu? Doesn't need to get to him. It's all Tars at the moment, and this is where they broke away. In fact, it's a bit earlier this week from when they broke away from the Buffaloes.
Yeah, it's about the 10-minute mark of the second quarter last week, Rob, and they certainly lifted their work rate again after those first 2 forward entries by Darwin, and been using the ball really well. And as we can see, their interchanges are really working hard.
Karanua 4 last week. Comes in for his first of the afternoon, makes no mistake, and they sneak out to a 13-point lead, 4-2-26 to 1-7-13.
I reckon Buffs, I reckon they're trying to execute the right thing. See, in that last situation, it was Anchors there that got that last clearance, so I think Philpott's on him, but just got to wear him like a glove, because Anchors won that clearance and set up that goal. Karanua, who was best on ground last weekend, they put Campbell to him, so they've got all the right matchups. They just got to execute it better, as best as they can. And that Abe Anchors out of stoppages has just got to be worn like a glove. If not, you've got to double team him. He's that good in that situation.
Yeah, he's very good. He's clean below his knees, Rick, and he's really smart in contested situations.
Johnston, oh, clever tap. Back it goes forward again for Waratah. Cantilla tracks it with Stevenson to the boundary line. There's Ray having a spell in the middle for Waratah. Got some big, strong bodies in the engine room, the Tars.
Yeah, Flanagan was in there at that stage as well.
So Waratah, another opportunity close to goal. Tutupu drops it at his feet. Wants one of his smaller players. Some holding going on, and it's another free kick. And it's going to Godden. So Tars can really open it up here.
Again, the player in front, it's just absolutely imperative. He was in front, he wanted the footy, and a bit of luck went his way. You get a nice little lead here if you can put this through Sam Godden.
Tars' best and fairest winner this season. Kicked 2 last week. Like had some groin issues, but he's moving pretty freely today. He kicks, he's curled it through beautifully. The Tars get their 5th. Some danger signs going on for the Buffaloes. They now trail by 19 points, 7 minutes gone, second quarter.
Yeah, it started in the centre bounces, the last 2 goals they've kicked, and surely Buffs have got to tighten up in the middle, as Rick said. You know, you've got to hold your front spot. They got Philpott and Paulie Campbell in there, and Bradley Stokes. So they're up against some formidable opposition with Flanagan in there, Brodie Carroll.
We're looking down on the Buffs bench, Wally. Look who's on. Chris Williams, Jared Stokes and Bowles. Probably their starting on-board brigade almost.
You've probably got to watch that, don't you? Like, this game's got away in 5 minutes, so you probably can't. Got to watch that with the rotations and not allowed to happen.
Umpire waiting a long time to come in and ball it up.
Oh, I like that. Force them to get the ball out. Good umpire.
They were just having a little rest. Warm conditions, although this breeze might be making it a little bit more comfortable for players today. Certainly okay up in the shade here in the grandstand. Trupp is hanging around the football. Johnston wanting a free kick, not being rewarded. Karanua couldn't take it with him, goes in and has another go. Campbell tackles him. Off the ground goes Philpott, but front position there to Zobel. Mitchell is run down in a fierce tackle, and rewarded was Ray. Play on the call. Flanagan kicks high. Tars are all over Buffaloes. Tutupu front spot. Anderson from behind. Down into the path of Stevenson. Good strong play by Tutupu, who slaps to Godden. His kick has gone nowhere. Tutupu might be another chance. Gets buffeted off the footy. Comes to Karanua. Shrugs one tackle. Clever kick. Has too much heat. No, he finds his teammate there in Gardner.
With Sam Flanagan, I can't remember to bake in the first quarter. You've got to know your environment. The one before in the first quarter, he didn't know his environment. That one there, he did know his environment, went with a fast play with a deep, long entry to Pupu, and you can see that's what it does. It sets up a goal. Big fan of that long, deep entry, and with Flanagan, well done. He knew his environment a lot better than the previous occasion.
For 4 goals in the first 9 minutes, it's away to the left. 5-3, Tars, 1-7, Darwin.
Westerberg dominating the hit-outs at centre bounces, and the clearances are going Waratah's way. That's their 6 inside 50 from as for as many centre bounces.
Campbell on the bounce to Bradley Stokes, who was good enough to ride the pressure and give to Joe Anderson. Stevenson has found space at right half back. Need a goal, Darwin. Corrie's broken and he marks on the wing. Goes into Trupp. Some space for the Buffaloes. Trupp kicks long. Out comes White. In front Sambono. Misses both of them. Dropping back Mackenzie. Little paddle on the ground by Jalen Clark. Lurking dangerously is White, wanting the ball to come out. It won't. There's going to be a ball up, although again the umpire's letting it go, forcing the players to clear the contest. That's deliberate, isn't it? No, the pressure was right on because Jalen Clark was laying the tackle, although he had one last go at the umpire wanting a free kick. Tars defending resolutely. Geordie Mackenzie, the former Demon, will get to it just before it goes out of bounds. And the kick around the corner isn't terrific. Maroney marks for the Buffaloes. They trail by 19 points, 10.5 gone, second quarter. Elimination final. Sambono, little nudge. It was allowed to go by. Comes to Bowles, wants to get boot on ball. He's dragged down in a tackle. Nothing working for the Buffs. They were just in a little cluster there. No one was creating space to pass it on to. And the Waratah will kick it out towards defensive 50 again, where Buffs have formed a line. Stevenson wanted the football. Cantilla lurking. And then one man who did want the footy there was taken away by Toma. Came to Keranua. His kick was clever, but not quite deep enough. And the Buffs have a chance to reload off half back through Campbell. Breeze really strong here at the moment, whistling through the concourse. Jackson Clark knocked off the footy by Carroll. Good one-on-one contest, but support comes. Red and white jumpers everywhere.
Outstanding by Brody Carroll to win that one-on-one.
Came to anchors. Campbell bearing down there on Keranua. Gardner and Campbell fierce at the contest. Rode the bump. Spun around. Onto his left boot. Centering ball into the middle of TIO Stadium to Bradley Stokes. Runs to centre half forward. Wants White. Nudged off the footy by the more agile Mackenzie. Slung away from the footy was Culhane, but a throw has gone to the Tars.
Just go back to Matty Campbell. It's just imperative to keep your feet, especially in finals footy. He kept his feet bodyline the footy, and he could get Buffaloes back in the game here.
Jared Stokes' short pass is excellent. And Mitchell marks directly in front, 30 metres out, must kick this goal.
Yeah, I think Matty Campbell led by example. There was a couple of unorthodox efforts by Zach Stevens. He sort of put his hand in when he should have won the ball the far side when they had numbers there, and then Matty Campbell was outnumbered 3-1, and he won the ball and won it really well without having a shot on goal. Mitchell
for the Buffs' second goal. Won't have the legs, drop short in the goal square. And Waratah can clear. Up towards half-back. Simpson was nudged out, and the umpire was right there to see it. It goes against Campbell. Minkle can't get the advantage. So it comes back to Simpson. Anchors wanted him to kick longer.
Got to get tighter on this bloke. He can't get that free.
To Stevens, who's got space as well. Kicks in the Flanagan direction to Tupu there. The volley coming out from defence by Anderson. Big bump there on a Rundle. Anchors to Godden. About to be run down Zobel. Play on the call. Was there any advantage? No. Nope. Mitchell. He's got Trupp streaming forward. Maybe a chance here for Buffaloes. A little bit too much on it maybe. Trupp now gallops towards the footy. Can he gather? Mincook coming at him. Trupp from 45 and the mark to Jalen Clark. Bit better in the last few minutes, Rick.
Yeah, just on another side. I reckon Tapupu is gone. I reckon they've got enough. They've got a 3-goal lead. I reckon they've got enough to give away a goal. Get him off for 4 minutes, refresh him, get some petrol back in the batteries to go again, because I reckon he's pretty important. So if you lose a goal doing it, just to refresh a few blokes, so be it. But this is imperative. 50 metres. The water person's gone too close to Jalen Clark, who was kicking the ball.
Yep.
Well, that's a gift for the Buffaloes, because while it was directly in front, it might have been a tricky kick. Jalen Clark makes the most of it, pumps the fist, and the Buffs close the margin to 13 points.
Yeah, Shem sort of indicated that way to us last week, Rick, where we thought he was gone in the halfway through the second quarter when they put him in the ruck, and all of a sudden he dominated and was played pretty well. But you're right, you know, when you've got this sort of game that's going to be close, they keep coming at you, and you know, if Buffs had kicked straighter, the game would be closer, and you could afford to take Shem off for a while and give him a rest and put Westerberg forward, because he can kick goals when he goes forward.
He must be too tired because he's put himself on the run.
Yeah, exactly
so maybe
right.
I'm reading the body language incorrectly.
TIO NTFL elimination final here at TIO Stadium. Tupu up against Atkinson. Tupu wins it. Chris Williams tried to lay a tackle, too big and strong. Got it to Karanua, to Mincook. And they're set to get a quick reply here. Flanagan, he's 60 out from goal. Westerberg now in the goal square. Oh, clever running by Mincook. He ran on and he may give away 50. It was a pretty innocuous bump after the mark was taken. And so Mincook will line up 15 metres out, slight angle. Bradley Stokes stands the mark.
Well done by Westenberg. Sat on the at the actually goal line there that just opened it all up. Like whether he was having a rest or whether he was trying to create space, I don't know. But it just created space for their fleet foot Tiwi players to Waratah's Tiwi players to run into.
Mincook won last week and to push the margin back to 19 points. He steers it through. Great skill. Wasn't far out, but slightly tricky breeze conditions here at TIO Stadium today, and it's 39-20.
Yeah, Minkle ran really well. He was on the wing then, and he ran past a couple of Darwin Buffalo players, and Bradley Stokes saw him and tried to go with him, but Minkle was just a little bit fast, and the kick was perfect into that space. And good pickup, Rick. I think that Westerberg did see Minkle coming into that space, and he just held back on the line, which was really patient of him.
Yeah. And a disclaimer is from Jabiru, not Tiwi. I thought it might have been Henry Kirina or Cantilla there for a second. So disclaimer, Mincook's from Jabiru, and what a great pickup he's been for Waratahs.
Tupu strong, running hard at the football. Atkinson came in from the side, and like he did last week, some ruck roving. Kicks it long on the left boot in the Westerberg direction. Anderson, a little nudge out, but the ball goes out of bounds.
That's the second time he's had a second effort to Tupu in the ruck. He is a massive find for Waratahs. Big pickup, very good player. Yeah,
he did that a fair few times in that second quarter to get him going, and then really dominated the later part of the third quarter doing that sort of find your own footy.
Westerberg has gone forward. He takes the ruck contest from the boundary throw in. Anderson, strong tackle, comes to Chris Williams. And there's a blood rule going. Anderson has to come off, but a free kick's gone for a throw. Marty Corrie will take it. Just have to wait for Joey Anderson to come off.
Does anyone know why Miles or O'Sullivan aren't playing? Did they play the 6 to qualify?
No, they didn't.
They didn't. No,
O'Sullivan did, but he's injured.
Yep.
He's got a knee injury, and Miles didn't qualify.
That's tragic.
So big players last year. It's the Buffs.
I reckon they're in a bit of a hard way. I reckon Miles was just as good in the ruck. And both of them are not injured, but I'm saying I reckon Miles is a great ruckman as well. So it would have been good if he could have had a good run at this final series in the ruck.
Corrie. Play back underway. Kicks in the Shillaby direction, but the kick was out of bounds on the full before Shillaby could get to it.
Shillaby's been quiet this quarter, but I don't reckon he's had that many opportunities either.
No, they've been... Waratahs have really controlled the football and really put pressure on the back half for Buffs.
Tupu just holds Atkinson off the football, wins the tap. Clever play by Karanua to draw a free kick for a hold. If they can just kick another goal, the Buffs, or even hold this 3-goal deficit, it'll be okay. But if Tars get 1 or 2, a few minutes to go in the second quarter of this elimination final, it'll be tough to come back, you'd think.
Tars have got to halve that footy. That ball's got to come to ground. Can't allow that. Chest mark in the forward 50.
Corrie standing tall in the last few minutes. Has it again. He hasn't got too many options. Now he's got Kelvin Williams, who marks at the top of the defensive goal square. Johnston cruises by. His short kick to Chris Williams. He's got Stevenson on. Stevenson is in a lot of space. He goes to Jalen Clark, but the kick's too heavy, and Blake marks. It's a symbol of the Buffs' afternoon. Skill execution not great, although the Waratahs weren't tremendous on that occasion either. But a chance for Westerberg, clever, gave to Cantilla, threw it out in front of himself, and that's exactly how the umpire saw it as well. The tap would have worked, but unfortunately he gathered the footy and just threw it out. And as he was streaming into goal, it had to come back for a free kick against him.
Well positioned, Mark Noonan there. If he had been positioned somewhere else, he may not have seen that.
Atkinson for Buffs.
Matty Campbell back on the ground. Bradley Stokes comes off for a rest, so good interchange there. Bradley's been good in the last 5 or 6 minutes, and Matty Campbell came off for a rest after he won that hard football.
You're watching 7-2's coverage of the NTFL thanks to TIO, Naffles, Appia and MacArthur River Mining. And the Waratahs are looking good to advance to the qualifying final, though Chris Williams might have something to say about that. His kick off the side of the boot still ends up with Sambono. His tackle, quick kick, McKenzie. Culhane will be too quick for McKenzie. You think quickly onto the boot. He just couldn't curl it around enough and threw for a behind. So out of nothing, a score to the Buffaloes.
Very, very lucky Waratahs. A very poor turnover in the centre of the ground.
Yeah, just weren't strong over the football, and that one tackle sort of opened up the footing. Chris Williams collected the ball really clean. His kick wasn't great inside 50, but they got it there eventually.
James Ray called to play on. It's been solid contributor this afternoon. Atkinson, red at best, had a couple of goes at it, couldn't take the mark. Bumped off the footy by Barrett. Stevenson to Maroney. Williams, I should say. Atkinson, Stevenson. Oh, well done by Godden. He rode the bump of Stevenson over the top to Barrett. Looks a little bit sluggish, but gives it off there to Flanagan. Runs to 45. Atkinson can't catch him, and Flanagan kicks another goal for the Waratahs. Margin out to 4 goals. 7-3 to 2-9.
5 goals to Waratahs in this quarter, which was similar to the second quarter last week. Just that contest in front of us, Rick. Buffaloes were really slow to leave that, and that's why Flanagan got out on the open by himself and ran inside 50.
Been a good player in the second half of the year, Flanagan. Personally, I reckon Thunder should be looking very closely at him. A former Woodville West Torrens player. And he's been one of the many shining lights of Waratahs in the second half of the year.
Darryl White coming to the bench, and he doesn't look great on that knee, Rob.
He's really struggling, isn't he?
That looks like it's Hugh in the rack sort of stuff. He didn't look good, did he?
Nah. He's a warrior.
Another hit out to advantage from the Waratahs ruckman.
And Godden got the clearance. Ray had front position in that contest. Stevenson comes in to bump him near the boundary line. What's that?
Joey Anderson also here on the bench has put some strapping around and again the blood rule, so I think he's ready to come on very, very soon as well. What do you reckon, chucking Anderson in the middle wall?
Yeah, I think so. I think they got nothing to lose now, and their back half, the 5 minutes he's been off, has held up okay. I mean, I know they've scored that goal, but that came from a poor miss tackled on the wing here, and Flanagan was playing in the midfield. So, you know, Joey's gone into the ruck at times for Buffaloes, and he's going forward. So, I think it might be time to try and something a little bit different from Matty Campbell and his coaching staff.
To Tupu and Atkinson. The boundary throw clears the 2 players. Up towards Westerberg, falls to him at the back of the pack, couldn't complete the footy, but it's all Waratah at the moment. Another goal, and Cantilla slid in, grabbed the crumb, and the Waratahs now lead by 5 goals. 23 minutes gone, second quarter.
Just the silk that Waratahs have up forward with it's good as anyone's in the comp, I reckon, at ground level. They've just got 3 lightning fast community boys that are very hard to catch, and they do a very good job.
Yeah, I think it comes back to what you were saying halfway through the first quarter, Rick. They're just not close enough at stoppages. Again, you know, Godden gets a easy clearance out of that boundary throw in inside 50, and it's a one-on-one situation. As you said, the 3 goal sneaks are all clean below the knees, and another goal from Kieran.
To Tupu, the powerhouse wins the tap. Jared Stokes, but taken away by Anchors. The clearance. Williams against Flanagan. Shrugs Stevenson. Comes to Stevens of Waratahs. Pushing away there, Johnston. Here's the pace again of Cantilla.
So Atkinson's gone in the ruck. Johnston's gone down back. And Jed Anderson's still playing.
There's Abe Anchors here. They've got to sit on him, I reckon.
Or Sam Godden or Brodie Carroll.
Johnston goes to ground. Waratah through Godden. Underground kick. Here's Carroll. Quick snap. Another one for the Tars. They get their 9th. It's blowing out here before half-time at TIO Stadium. 9-3-57 to Darwin. 2-9-21.
There's a bit of a consult now.
They're pretty excited. They thought they'd got the goal.
You can usually tell by the way a player celebrates, can't you? That he's pretty confident. again, their ability, Tars, to win contested footy
Yep.
is elite.
Yeah.
So-
They just line up after, you know, Godden, then Carroll, then Abankers have started that run. They get it out the open and they hit the ball running, and their body momentum takes the ball forward.
It looks fairly unselfish as well. When you've got a dominant ruckman, sometimes, you know, the best player, which is probably Abe Ankers, wants to go every time because he's going to get an armchair ride. But it looks like they mix it up pretty well, and they look like they're pretty well drilled in there.
Yeah, centre clearances this quarter are 6 to Waratah's, none to Darwin, or 1 to Darwin, and the boundary throwing clearances are 5 to Waratah's, none to Darwin, and Darwin have got the only stoppage clearance in this quarter.
Sharing the goals again, Cantilla, Tutupu, Carroll, Mincook, Karanua, Godden and Westerberg all scored goals last week as well.
Yeah, Waratah's just break the centre square. Carroll was just a bit too anxious getting in there.
I don't think Brody Carroll knew the rule. It was the ball went outside the centre circle, so they've got to do it again. I think he thought that was a stoppage.
Here's Shillabeer in front. Couldn't take the mark. Zobel. Shillabeer fighting hard. Gets the handball away. Bowles, haven't seen much of him. Mitchell, can he get it off to Bowles? Sort of falls in his lap in the end, but Bowles kick. It did come around in the end. Oh, much needed goal to Darwin. On the stroke of half-time, the Buffs get one back. The margin back to 30 points, 9-3 to 3-9.
Yeah, a little bit cleaner then. Mitchell still fumbled, but had good support in Bowles, and they're the sort of players that need to get in the game. Mitchell, Bowles, Campbell, Stokes, Atkinson's doing a pretty good job in the ruck, and now we'll see what happens at this centre bounce, how they structure up. It looks like Ray has gone in there. Bankers has gone into the middle for Waratahs, and that Flanagan?
Tomo, isn't it?
Oh, Tomo. So Campbell, Stokes and Bowles back in the middle with Chris Atkinson in the ruck.
Atkinson competes pretty strongly this time. Anchors had the ball stripped away. Campbell. Sambono went the spoil in the end, and just as the Buffaloes were half a chance inside their attacking 50, it's half-time at TIO Stadium. Waratah lead this elimination final by 30 points, 9-3-57 to Darwin 3-9-27. Welcome back to 7-2's coverage of the TIO NTFL season elimination final between Waratah and Darwin. And as they did in the final round of the home and away season last week, Waratah has broken open this match in the second quarter. It was fairly close at quarter time. 2-2-14 played 1-5-11. But Tars kicked 7 goals to 2 in the second quarter and lead by 30 points. Pretty big ask, Wally Gallio.
Yes, it is. And Waratah's continued on where they stopped off last week, where they just really worked hard. Their players started getting their hands on the footy. They had front spot, and they continue to use the ball really well. And then their small forwards with some targets up forward with Shem and Westerberg bringing the ball to the ground continued on, and they kicked 7 goals in that quarter.
Nothing's really worked for Buffs this year all season, Rick, with players being unavailable, not their form not up to last year's standard. They made the grand final, lost by a point to Southern Districts.
Yeah, and it looks like they've bring some changes. What we're talking about, just getting Matty Campbell put himself in the middle with Anderson. So some of their top-end talent has gone into the middle, because I think that's where they've been getting beaten. It's just, and that's where I just couldn't see him getting back in the game, because they're just getting annihilated out of the middle of the ground. So they've changed a few things up. We'll see if they can get them back into the game.
We were worried it might have been the end of Darryl White for the afternoon. He hobbled off with that knee heavily strapped in the second quarter. He's back in the goal square. Some good news for the Buffs. What can he do? Conjure some of that magic out of that 45-year-old body. Godden wins the first clearance. Jackson Clark paddles the ball along in front of him. Good power from Toma. He wanted that football, paddled along in the direction of Godden. And a free kick. Well, the umpire who was further away has paid that to Campbell, who played for it against Godden. The umpire close to the action was going to call play on, which was maybe the better decision. Cleverly done by big man Schillebeer. He's got Gooch on his hammer. Centering ball. Where's Darryl White? Sambono there as well. White hands to the footy. Couldn't complete the mark. And the kick is cleared. But Jalen Clark grabs it. He's kicked a couple for the Buffs already. He curled that one around right to the line. And desperate defence there from Gooch. It goes, or it might have been McKenzie, goes through for a rush behind.
And the Buffs have started where they started all other 2 quarters, getting ball inside 50 early and having shots on goal.
Zobel to himself. Wants to Tupu. Atkinson to Gooch, though, the Waratahs. Good mark to Barrett. In front of Williams. Danger here. Anchors. Sidesteps Jalen Clark. To Simpson. Will it sit? He's got it at right half forward. He's still got about 10 metres on Zach Stevenson. Low pass is excellent to Ray at centre half forward. Coming in late was Stokes. I don't think it'll be 50. It was pretty innocuous. Wasn't the wisest thing to do. But Ray will line up directly in front.
Yeah, there's a bit of feeling off the ball at the moment. Joel Stevens and Bowles having a few words to each other, and Godden and Jackson Clark, and tempers are getting a little bit frayed early in this third quarter, Rick.
Yeah, they've got to keep their discipline going, Buffs. I sort of spoke, Rob. I thought at Christmas time, I thought Buffs were flying. I thought they beat Districts just before Christmas, and I thought
Ray is way to the right from him.
And I just thought, you know, they picked up Johnson and Bowles at both Territory Thunder listed players. I thought Buffs were absolutely flying at Christmas, and then they trained pretty hard over Christmas, and I thought, look out for the double blue. But it's from there, it's gone a little bit backwards.
Well, I think the first game after Christmas, they only lost to Nightcliff, the top team by a couple of goals.
And I think after going into the St Mary's game, well, they are genuine nearly favourites, and then it just turned quickly. They say a week's a long time in football. It certainly is.
Campbell looking for Bradley Stokes. Ray chopped it down, and Waratah can go back inside 50. Carroll marks. He's 55 out. Buffs must hold their ground here. Godden gets the handball gliding by. Bowles doesn't come at him all that hard. Allows Godden a free run at the kick. It's away out of bounds on the full load. Margin 30 points.
It's pretty important for Buffs to get the first goal. Just gives them a little bit of a sniff. Someone like Sambono to kick something magical would be handy.
Well, it's been turned over again. Into Barrett. It's all too easy for Waratahs. Skills deserting them. Choices, they're making the wrong ones. Cameron Barrett, the leading goal scorer for Waratahs, will line up. Slight angle, 15 out.
That's a 5th mark for the game that Waratahs have taken in their 50, where Darwin have only taken 2 inside 50. And Barrett comes in for a shot on goal.
For his 20th goal of the season. And he steers it through, and the Tars lead by 36.
And that's going to be fairly hard to push back, I reckon. So, just again, Wally, their starting points here. You see here, the ball's turned over, and they're just got to get their starting points a bit better than that. And I thought even from fullback kick-outs, buffs, they probably could have pressed up into Waratahs and not given them those that metre or two. So, you see Waratahs, they've got some good systems in there that they're talking to each other. That everyone seems to know what's going on, and they've dominated out of the middle.
And Sham Tapuku keeps on going in the ruck.
Nullified, but he gets the second effort. The handball to Godden, back inside attacking 50 again. Barrett slick to Ray to 45. Short passing towards the pocket. Toma couldn't complete the mark. He's got a player inboard. It's Anchors from 40. Steadies, shoots and misses to the right.
Ooh. Talked about before Wally working from the contest like that. He's come from the middle Anchors there. Like, he's worked exceptionally hard to get to the full of that ball.
And that's probably the difference now, that the work rate's just lifted from Waratahs, and they continue to do so.
Maroney, Jared Stokes.
So there's no movement here anymore. Now there's some from Joe Anderson.
Which creates a bit of a gap for Philpott. Barrett tried to close that gap that Anderson was running into, and Philpott marks. And his kick in the Shillaby direction was pretty good in the end. But he's on the wing. He's not in the goal square where Buffaloes enjoyed him last season. Inboard to Philpott. He'll want to hold here because he's got a player bearing down on him.
Just too slow. He had Joey Anderson inside.
Kicks in the Campbell direction. Too tall for him. Not known as a high marking player, Campbell, the midfielder. Having a stint up in the forward line. So there'll be a boundary throw in. 37 points the lead to Waratah. 6 minutes gone, third quarter, elimination final. Tupu up against the much lighter Eddie Trupp. Guess who wins? No surprises to Tupu, but only as far as Joe Anderson. Inside attacking 50. Coming out at Waratah. Jared Stokes lays a tackle on him. Neatly stepping through there was Bailey Zobel. Can Mitchell gather? He couldn't on the half volley. Still going. Was he taken high? Play on. The umpire says he couldn't get rid of it before he was wrapped up in the tackle. There'll be a ball up.
Need to steal one of your buffs. Sambono, a bit of magic, something like that.
Or Mitchell, he runs onto the footy, couldn't quite keep the handle going, had a couple of taps at it, and then wrapped up again by Waratah's defenders. Some talent down around that pack. Sambono, White, Anderson.
Usually find with repeat stoppages in forward line, sometimes there's a free kick pull, so we'll see what happens here.
Darryl White goes in to try and wrench it out. He's met just as strongly the other way by Anchors. Yet again the restart. Tap by Tupu, dangerous to the top of the goal square, almost into the path of the Buffaloes, and a goal will emerge. It was a Culhane, quick snap from the goal square, and the Buffs do get that much needed goal. But what was Shem Tupu doing?
Yeah, I don't know what he was thinking then, but the goal sneak and the opportunist Brendan Culhane came through, and there's a bit of to-do going on behind the play. Paul Campbell had a bit of an issue with Sam Godden. He put him down, and Darryl White comes and sorts that out.
And very rarely will you see a ruckman hit towards the opposition goal in an inside 50. Bit of a brain fade.
Sort of player that will just rip it out of this contest and boot at 60 metres. Instead, he taps it down into the path of Stevens, who soccers off the ground. Tars go to right half forward. Out comes Cantilla. He goes to ground. Well, I thought he fell over his own feet then, but it's going to go against Stevenson. I think it's a little bit unlucky. Board to Godden. Low kick on the bounce to Flanagan. He's wrapped up in a very strong tackle. Incorrect disposal. Jared Stokes wins the free kick.
Just kicked off one step, Sam Godden. He's just got to go back and hit his target.
So 90 seconds of positivity for the Buffs. The goal, now some strong play across half-back. They trail by 31 points. 8 minutes gone, third quarter in the elimination final. Winner plays the loser of the Bombers and the Crocs, who play later this afternoon. looking for Shillabir. Trupp as well out there for the Buffs. Good strong tackle. Gooch comes through for the Tars. Goes out of bounds.
Gooch has been a good find for Waratahs this year. He's played a couple of good roles, as we talked about it last week. He's played forward, he's played back. He's also run with and tagged players through the midfield, so he's been quite a good pickup for Ryan Ayres and his coaching staff.
He often gets the best player, doesn't he, every week?
Yep.
Well,
that might have been high by Trupp. It's a fairly feisty character. Westerberg drags Trupp away. Play on, not allowed to.
the umpire is not that dumb.
Toma goes back to take the kick from right half back to Ray. He's been busy turning for this week's match. Got a teammate there in Westerberg. Up to Gardner, inside 50. Tars dangerous again. Beautiful kick to the top of the goal square. And resting deep in attack is Sam Godden.
I reckon Tars' improvement this year, which I reckon they've been unbelievable as a footy club. This guy is now an elite player of the comp. I reckon Henry Kiranura as well is another one that's pushing elite, if not is elite. And Brody Carroll's another one. Just a lot of organic growth that they've got within their football club. So, but I reckon Godden's up there has now gone from a very good player to an elite footballer.
Yeah, it's made him a better player in the aspect that he can go forward instead of trying to play in the midfield and coming off the ground. So what Ryan's done really well, I thought, is the way he rotates his players, but he keeps his better players on the ground, and he's created some depth through the recruiting that he's done and the club's done to have that depth to get a Sam Godden forward, to get an A-Bankers forward, and then, you know, then a pinch hit, you can throw Jimmy Ray through the midfield and plays his role really well as Toma does, and then Brody Carroll, Sam Godden and A-Bankers finish it off with Westerberg.
Trupp in the ruck now for the Buffaloes, used his leap to good advantage, but the clearance coming the Tars way. Stephen is in towards the pocket. Tutupu gathers, got his boot some out of the football. This opened up an opportunity. Cantilla sweats on the footy. Comes to Bradley Stokes though. About to be run down was Corrie. Still an opportunity here. Ducking his head was Cantilla. Play on the call. And now holding the ball.
Outstanding umpiring. Well done.
Ducked straight into it. The umpire wasn't going to play the high ball.
Mr. Consistency, Mark Noonan.
Joe Anderson, Culhane pushed away from the football by Bailey Zobel. And the ball has to come back. No advantage paid. So the mini revival's just been snuffed out a little bit by that goal from Godden. The margin back to 37 points. Still a lot of time in this game. But gee, it'd be a mighty comeback.
They need multiple guys. Multiple goals creates momentum.
Mitchell up against Banks. Blake, I should say. Blake tackled strongly by Sambono. Close to the boundary line, Sambono and McCarthy as well.
This is where Buffs just need to steal one if they're any chance. Got to get one in the next couple of minutes. Forward 50 throw in.
Atkinson and Westerberg. Quick kick by Atkinson. Will go out of bounds in the full in the right forward pocket.
See that last stoppage, Jared Stokes sort of went to Jimmy Ray. I reckon when the ball's in there forward 50, I think he's just got to try and get away from him. Try and get free, get a bit dangerous and try and kick a goal. Get the Buffaloes back into this game.
Yeah, they just haven't been smart. Like in their forward 50, they don't open the stoppage up. All their forwards come up to the stoppage. Their midfielders go, and it's just a congregation of double blues.
Confident play by the Tars. Kick from Arundel was excellent to Gardner. Sambono was closing him down, but hit its target. Now they switch back to the grandstand side. Gooch up against Shillabir. Gooch got hands to it. And then Campbell goes to ground. A rare occurrence. And Gooch streams away up towards half forward. Slips through the hands of Bradley Stokes. Carroll at ground level. He's bumped over the line by Stokes. Tars ringing the changes again, just off camera.
Stokes come to the bench for Joey Anderson, so that's not a bad balance.
Anderson runs straight to the contest, looking to the fall of the ball. Had a slight fumble, gathered, and his handball wasn't all that effective. Sold Atkinson into trouble. Good strong tackle to Campbell. Came to Kelvin Williams. Spirals the torpedo to half forward, but the man in front is Blake.
Played a good game, Blake. You're just prepared to run, Tars. Look at that, plenty of space.
They look fit, don't they? Strong and fit. Barrett receives from Godden. Cameron Barrett, the leading goal scorer for Tars this year with 19 goals. Inside attacking 50. Campbell flew over his head. Comes to Carroll. Dribbles along the ground. And soccering it through for a behind deliberately. Well, he was about 15 metres out. His opponent was hanging off him. And Stevenson's been penalised. It's all going against Buffaloes. Tars a chance to extend their lead.
The rule, I believe, is if you're outside that square, lengthwise, it's deliberate. It looks like that's where it was.
Yep.
Where does he take the free kick from, though? Where the ball was kicked?
Where the ball crosses the line.
Line, is it?
Yeah, on the goal line.
So he's right on the boundary, Cantilla. Got one already this afternoon. He tries to hook it around. It's too narrow, one behind.
Probably would have gone to Anchors there. Anchors was on. The chance of kicking a goal there is very minimal.
38 points the margin. Waratah beat Darwin by 76 points in the final round of the home and away last week. Darwin haven't found the answers, not yet at least. They were cruelled by the fact that Mal Roses was a late withdrawal, injured in the warm-up, and Cameron Stokes, a solid defender and spiritual leader, wasn't playing today either.
This suits Waratahs. This clock doesn't stop while the ball goes out of bounds. So the more of these will play into Waratah's hands.
Johnston having a spell in the ruck. I should say Atkinson it was. Comes to Anderson. But here go the Waratahs again. Up to Barrett. Right half forward. We've got players streaming forward. Anchors. Neat sidestep. Then spearing ball inside attacking 50. Play on the call. Wasn't the desired distance to Toma. Anchors will go once more. Sweeps the handball back. Barrett into a Rundle. He's 60 from goal. He sets sail to the top of the goal square to Tupu. Out he comes. Grabs the footy. Can he shrug the tackle? He couldn't. Got a handball away. Only as far as Moroney to Williams. Williams has Shillabeer all alone. Out at right half back. Crosses defensive 50. Kicks long over the wing. Mitchell dropping back, has front position, but beautifully read by his opponent. That's your man Blake again.
That's his best game he's played, and I always say you only judge players in finals, so you can only judge players when the heat's on in the finals. He's doing very well.
Toma loops one over the top to Barrett, about to be run down by Bowles. Better tackling there by Jackson Clark on Simpson, and Clark wins the free kick. Off to Campbell.
Buffs have got to do that more, play on.
To Williams, who's been sent forward. Couldn't control the footy. Zobel corrals him against the boundary line. Chris Williams looks inboard, doesn't quite hit the target. There's a heap of space here for Jackson Clark. Maybe could have gone over the top to White. Didn't matter. It was good enough on the kick. Much needed goal to Darwin. They get their fifth. 5-10, 40 to 11, 672.
Get excited, Buffs, after that. Throw your hands up. Just get a bit of excitement going, because you never know what can happen. Now they just got to get repeat goals or multiple goals.
Yeah, that's where they've struggled today. They get one, and then then Waratahs will get one or two, and then they'd go inside 50, kick a point, and then Waratahs will get another one. So it's really important they win the centre clearance and get it quickly into a one-on-one to Sambono, Darryl White, Shillabeer, and see what happens from there.
Jared Stokes and Matty Campbell in the middle, so we'll see if they can get this centre clearance and get a bit of momentum. And
Mitchell's gone into the centre too. I don't mind Mitchell being in there. He gets his head over the footy, holds his body well.
Westerberg over the top. Atkinson. Ray comes the other way. Clearance though to Waratah. And they're playing in front across half forward. Carroll wants to Tupu. Johnston there to Tupu. Out bodies Johnston. The quick reply. Tars too good.
If we see this replay again, I'm not sure if we're going to see it, because Brodie Carroll, we've spoken about it many times, Tar's ability to explode.
Well, it was a free kick.
Free kick, I think, in the back. Yeah. But just Tar's ability to explode from a centre bounce. Brodie Carroll it was that time. We've seen Atkins do it. Anchors do it. It's impressive. They just work so hard from stoppages.
Philpott, reprieve for the Buffs. 2-on-1 though, they're not going to win too many of those contests. Struggling to win 1-on-1. Simpson. Mackenzie's kept on running. He runs to 50. Centering ball to Tupu. Will he be pushing again? This time he's going to be paid the mark. It's a side-on contest against Johnston, no doubt about that one. So Tupu can make amends for the goal he wasn't allowed a minute ago.
This bloke is scary come finals. He is in form. I had to put a hoodoo on him, but this isn't his favourite kicking spot here. Let's see what he does with this one.
For his second of the afternoon, and he's nailed it. That was the reverse psychology.
Yeah, if they can continue to move the ball quickly and cleanly like that with Waratahs, they're going to be pretty hard to stop, especially with Tupuku in good form up forward. He's good body size, and if he's one-on-one, he's going to win 90% of the stoppages or bring it to ground. Like even then when Buffs went forward, they kicked to a 2-on-1 with Shillabeer, and, you know, the Buff players peeled off the back waiting for Shillabeer to win the ball. Daniel Simpson stayed forward to the contest and won the ball, and the Waratahs were out.
Waratah, the only team to beat Tiwi since Christmas, and they've had wins over Nightcliff and Southern Districts during the season.
And they've lost to Palmerston 3 times.
Work that one out.
Buffs, again we say it, need a goal. Trupp working hard as ever, but couldn't get the footy. Tarsgo back inside attacking 50. Cantilla got rid of Stevenson, holds his ground, kicks to Ming Cook, neat feet, gives the handball away. Here comes another one. Tars on fire. They're streaming away now. The margin 44 points.
I think their midfield's as good as anyone, or if not the best. And their fleet-foot forward line is the fastest going around as well. So, and they team up very well together.
Abe Anker started in the midfield at that centre bounce and that stoppage, and ended up kicking the goal. So he just works consistently and hard each game.
I think the problem, you can say, right, we'll tag Ankers, but, you know, Gordon's nearly just as good. Flanagan's a good player. Carroll's a good player.
Yeah.
Ray goes all right as well. They've just, and Tomo, they've got a lot of depth there. You just can't put work into one player, or the others will hurt you.
And Westerberg and Tupuku in the ruck, giving them first use of the ball.
You're watching 7-2's coverage of the NTFL thanks to TIO, Naffles, Appia and MacArthur River Mining. Buffaloes, a rare foray into their forward 50. Williams was strong in the contest, gave to Joe Anderson on the left boot, hobbling after it, Darryl White. That's a pretty sad sight. Can't really make any impact on that contest.
Probably getting sick of playing up Ankers, but just then to work both ways. Like, he's put the pressure on Anderson then to stuff that kick up. He's not just going one way, he's going the other as well.
And that's what makes him a good player. Just works really well across the ground, works that defensive diamond well, and then gets on his bike and goes forward.
White hoping that he can stand up in the ruck contest, which he did, won it with his left palm. Trupp from behind, couldn't complete the mark. Corrie to half forward where Mitchell's waiting. Spills the mark in the end. Had enough time to gather the foot. He wants options. Sambona's just standing still. Stokes, his kick inside attacking 50. All red and white jumpers. Westerberg, they can switch play to the grandstand side, or they like to stay on the outer side, where Godden kicks a low ball. And again, the only people that want the footy are in red and white, although it bounces off a chest and comes to Sambono. Neat step, then smashes a handball in towards the forward pocket. High kick, Jalen Clark goes up. Big spoil. Sambono has another go at the tackle, but it's all the Waratahs through Mackenzie, and they clear across half back. Blake, his kick a little too tall. Corrie might receive the handball here. Whistle goes and there'll be a throw in.
Is it too late if they got a quick one? Go into it with a bit of momentum. We'll see if Buffs can do it.
Elimination final. Waratah lead by 44 points. Well done by Flanagan. Strong body. Bounced off a couple of tars.
Very strong boy.
To Tupu. Another strong man. Johnston did well. Pulls in the mark. Maybe not paid. Comes to Tupu off the side of the boot. Brilliant goal by the big man. That's his third. But Johnston almost did enough to be paid the mark, but at ground level, Big Shem did the business.
Too big and too strong.
He has to be recruit of the year, wouldn't he, at the moment after Christmas? Best first-year player as in recruit. He's been absolutely terrific. And when you kick the ball in long with a deep entry, and you've got someone to kick to, it goes a long way to winning, especially when they've got the fleet foot that the Waratahs have got.
Sambono's come up onto the wing. They have Stevens for company, but it's now a 50-point ball game. 76 point was the margin last week to the Tars.
Geez, that'd be scary, Tars, if they had Bugler and Timmy Mosquito down back. Like although all sides get injuries, so there's no excuses, but they've just done very, very well as a football club.
Godden anchors. Anderson kicks it backwards for the Buffs. Anchors chasing hard. He's winning the foot race. Can he gather the football? Anderson trying desperately. Anchors was clever, but Corrie standing in the way. Will kick it back towards the centre square, but only as far as a Waratahs player there into the chest of Toma. And Toma will line up for another goal for the Tars. They're 15th.
Yes, and they're 5th mark inside 50 this quarter, so it gives them 15 for the game so far. And there goes a siren for 3/4 time, and Toma, is it Toma?
Toma.
Lining up for
Toma.
goal.
For a 56-point margin. Buff season, barring an absolute miracle, is over. Toma runs pretty close to the man on the mark. Might be across the face. No, he's not. He's kicked the goal. Icing on the cake for the Tars. 3/4 time at TIO Stadium in the elimination final. Waratah 15-6-96. Darwin 5-10-40. final quarter, you would think the Darwin Buffaloes 2018-2019 season, watching 7-2's coverage of the TIO NTFL season, and the Waratahs lead by 56 points. They beat Buffaloes by 76 points in the final round of the home OA last week, and they've repeated the dose. The Buffs can go on runs, Wally, but I don't think it's going to happen today.
No, we talked about them kicking back-to-back goals to get something going. They didn't do that. As soon as they kicked one, the Waratahs hit back with two. So they'd have to do a lot more than they're doing now, and Matty Campbell's got to lead from the front. Which
he's doing. Beautiful pick-up on the half volley at full pace. Gives to Mitchell. Runs to 48 metres off the side of the boot. Philpott couldn't complete the transaction. Mackenzie's kick was good to Stevens, who's in a couple of Buffaloes, ex-AFL players no less, Anderson and Campbell, and he took the mark and gives to Barrett. Great pass. A late push came from Kelvin Williams. Barrett had clutched the mark to his chest. Then transfer play, dangerous. Campbell to Joe Anderson. He can't get a handle on the footy. Jalen Clark can. On the left boot, waiting under a Darryl White, and he's got the mark. Was it the distance? It wasn't the required distance, said the umpire. So play on the call. Shillabee marks inside the centre square. They need 10 goals and hold the Tars goalless. Philpott goes to ground. That's not going to help their cause. Anchors out towards Westerberg and Atkinson. The big Buffalo knocks Westerberg out of the way. Sambono playing on the wing. Hooks the kick around in the Campbell direction. Was dealt with after he got rid of the football. It'll be down the ground to Campbell.
Just going back to that Barrett kick before, do they need to do that when they're 46 points up, a 45 kick into the middle of the ground? They just got to
be smart.
You've got to know what's going on in the game of footy. It's just not required.
High shot on Jalen Clark. He'll go back and line up for his third goal.
If you're 5 goals down and trying to get some run, no worries. When you're 46 points up in an elimination final, just
play the safety.
Use your brains and play with some safety. Exactly what you said, Wally. Play with some safety. It's just not required to take that high risk, high reward football.
Clark, lovely kicking technique, and gets the desired result for the Buffs. They get their 6th. The margin's still 50. 6-10 plays 15-6.
Finally, for the first time in the game, that the Buffaloes had a lot of the play in the first couple of minutes of the game, and they've gone inside 50 3 or 4 times, and they've actually kicked the goal instead of kicking 3 or 4 points. So a good start for the quarter, Rob.
Yeah, I'm not saying with the Barrett one you don't switch or you don't, but just in that situation, it's surrounded by 3 guys with a 45 kick in. If it doesn't hit, it's a certain goal. Still got to take the game on. You still got to switch, but you've got to be very smart with those risky kicks.
Westerberg leapt early, controlled the contest, won the tap, soccer off the ground. Tars go forward. Bradley Stokes couldn't take it away. Comes to Stevens, who's been busy this afternoon. The kick off the side of the boot, though. It's out of bounds. He's got a lot of promise, Stevens. Moves well. Doesn't shirk anything.
No, he's improved over the last couple of years, and Ryan Ayres has done the right thing and stuck with him. You know, his early season form wasn't great, but he continued to grow, and he got his confidence back in the way he's gone.
I'll go a bit further. I reckon he'll go close to getting rising star. I reckon he's had a terrific year. Been given a real good go by Ryan Ayres, and I reckon he's been rewarded him very well.
Good strong mark by Bailey Zobel, opposed to Mitchell. His kick, well, I thought it was too tall, but Anchors stretched and grabbed it. You can go to Keranua, inside the centre square, just forward of centre Tars, leading by 50 points in this elimination final. Keranua out to Ray in front spot. Buffs have the numbers deep in defence. Stevenson. High kick. Phil Potts strong in the front of the contest to complete the mark in front of Arundel. He's got the running Stevenson.
He's ran well then from behind the footy.
Wanted a lot more of this a lot earlier. Looks for Atkinson. Waratah chases hard out towards the boundary line with Culhane in pursuit. It goes out of bounds.
Waratah's very fit as well. I reckon he's always, starting points are always good. He's always in front of his man. He's been a unsung hero in the back line. Nearly the whole back line, Waratahs. There's no big names there now. Mosquito and Bugler are gone, and they've all stood up. They've done very, very well.
Kenzie. Or was it Gooch? Might have been Gooch. Although this afternoon will be the qualifying final between the Tiwi Bombers and Southern Districts, with Nightcliff earning the week off with the minor premiership. I think the 4 teams left, assuming the Buffaloes get knocked out today, relatively even on their day. Anyone can beat anyone. So a thrilling finals season series in prospect.
Something I like about Nightcliff, if I was a Nightcliff supporter, that I'd be getting excited about. Never have they gone into a final series in so much form. Like they've been on top of the ladder quite a lot of times at Christmas, and then the wheel, it's always wobbling going into finals. They are flying at the moment, I reckon, going into finals. And for Nightcliff supporters, that has not happened since maybe the 70s, that they've gone into a final series flying with form.
Mitchell was neat, evaded the tackler, kicks in on goal, and McKenzie does well to touch it on the last line of the fence.
I mean, something on Nightcliff as well. They lost to Tiwi 2 weeks ago, but I thought they were real good that day. And sometimes you can have a good loss and a bad loss, and I reckon that was a good loss. They played good footy, just missed a couple of opportunities. The GOAT didn't play in Cameron Island, and if I was a Nightcliff supporter, I'd be up and about because they're in form going into the final series.
Good running by McKenzie to offer the lead. Gives it out to Simpson. Simpson down the line to Carroll. Was a little bit hopeful on the bounce. Goes out of bounds. Changes in front of us. Gardner comes back on for Tars. Jackson Clark goes to him. Bono lays a tackle. Now Jalen Clark lays a tackle. The umpire comes in and says no prior opportunity. It'll be a ball up. .49 points the margin. Game well and truly in the Tars keeping. Buffs fighting hard though, to at least some sort of respectability. Picked up by Ankers, streams away from the contest, runs to 45, and Abe Ankers drills another goal. That's his 3rd. He's been terrific. He's had lots of mates today, but all class, and the Tars extend their lead back out to 57 points. Yeah,
and again he gets away on his own, and it's very rarely that Abe's gets into that much space and misses a goal like that. His work rate is outstanding, and he still can finish off. And then he turns around and runs hard to the bench to make the change. So Waratahs continue to grow their game, and they continue to march into the finals with some confidence. And really over the last 2 weeks, they've really said to the competition, we're probably here to stay for a little bit longer than everybody thought.
This tandem ruck combination. A huge leap by Trupp. Put his leg out and has been penalised. Ended up on Tupu's shoulder. Ray wanted to sneak away. No advantage there. And Tupu will take the kick in the middle of TIO Stadium.
Bit unlucky, Trump. He had a big jump at the footy and unfortunately hit his shoulder. One thing about Tars, I reckon they're fit. They are very, very fit football side.
Oh, Williams. Should say Maroney was waiting under it. Oh, Karanua went to ground, tripped over his own player then. It was Godden, and Godden will snap a goal anyway. Maybe that was all part of the plan. He wanted the 6-pointer, knocked his teammate over, came up with the footy, and goal number 17 for Waratah.
And Waratahs clear the ball out of the centre again after a free kick. And back in the centre, Matty Campbell and Shillaby are talking to the umpire about that free kick.
Just got to get on with it, Matty. Unfortunately, I've never seen an umpire change his mind.
No.
It's like their system, Waratahs. They'll all get together. They know what's going on.
11 goal scorers today. 3 to Tupu, 3 to Sam Godden, 3 to Ankers are the only multiples. Trupp leaps high again, post to Westerberg this time. Campbell bursts through, can run to 50, should be able to kick a goal from here. Vacant goal square, Campbell delivers. Buffs get their 7th, and the margin back to 57.
And very good clearance, and Matty Campbell shows a bit of speed in those old legs. Maybe that ice bath last night with Darrell did do some good for him, Rob.
Is he back at Thunder this year?
They're still talking to him. He's not quite sure what he's doing. Matty's getting married this year in July, and his work keeps him pretty busy out in the communities with us, so he keeps on saying his body keeps on breaking down on him, but it looks all right to me.
Goal on the run from 50 in the last quarter.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
Jared Stokes, Ray's little toe poke kick. Waratah there with Bowles. Bowles still fighting on. Waratah over him. And Bowles wins the free kick. Defensive side of centre. Kicks to centre half forward. Shillabeer in front. Gooch as ever. Just waits off him and then spoils over the top. Toma. Out it comes to Blake. To Zobel. Flanagan now on the bounce. Feeds one through on the bounce awkwardly to Ray. About to be tackled by Jared Stokes, but good enough to slap it 20 metres long, only as far as Kelvin Williams of the Buffaloes. He goes to Bradley Stokes. Low left foot kicks. Excellent to Bowles. Flanagan a big push in the back on Bowles. But was allowed to get away with it just as Bowles took the mark. Centering kick to Corrie. In the corridor. Could go back to Johnston. Johnston marks inside the centre square, the defensive side. Jackson Clark runs onto the footy. Some late goals come out maybe for the Buffs, but it's all too little too late. Waratah and Culhane. Gooch knocks it in towards a danger spot potentially. Zobel taken off the footy by Mitchell. Quick snap on goal is away to the right, and the Buffs get it behind. They trail by 56.
Yeah, Darryl White's trying his heart out down there, but his legs just won't carry him that little bit. He keeps pulling up short, but the competitive nature keeps him going.
Gardner drops the mark. Culhane goes backwards to Jackson Clark. Goes further back to Zach Stevenson. Just gets boot to ball. Waratah sweating on his opponent. Stevenson against Mincook. Mincook thrown between his legs and penalised.
The winner of this next game, I would be doing a lot of video analysis work on Waratah's fullback kick-ins. I reckon you could really press in up on it. They've kicked short 80% of the time. If you really pressed up on it, I reckon you could do some damage, or just get them out of the comfort zone of what they've been doing today, because it's really worked today, and Buffs just haven't pressed up on it. Starting points have been poor.
Shillabeer dropped a relatively easy mark by his standards then. Symbol of his season. Paul Campbell is good into Joe Anderson, who marks inside attacking 50. Goalless this afternoon. He plays in defence for the Buffs. Margin 58 points, 12 minutes gone last quarter of this NTFL elimination final. Anderson, deliberate approach. Bring the margin back to 52 points. Won't have the distance. Very high kick to the top of the goal square. Bradley Mitchell comes out. Taken by Jalen Clark. Snap on goal, hits the post. Would have been his fourth. Not to be.
Banker's coming off, and I would nearly leave him off actually for the rest of the game.
Sits down with Kerenua, who's one of their star players as well. Bounced off Westerberg's chest. The free kick's been picked out. It's going to Carroll. It's pushed in the back. He's got a man free in Stevens on the wing. Goes shorter than that to Godden. Kick comes back to Zobel. Philpott comes at him. Zobel's handball. Rundle. Stevens marks on the wing. Good strong one grab. In fact, it was McCarthy that set that up. Over the top comes to Carroll. He's got men on everywhere. Gardner wants to Tupu. Won't get that far. Waratah's queuing up at centre half forward. The margin you would think about to be extended to 61 points.
Just their control of the ball and their patience then. They drew the Darwin Buffaloes, the ball carrier drew the Darwin Buffalo players and then just put it at the top of the square.
Toma has one already this afternoon. He kicked a couple last week as well. And he drills the goal. Waratah get their 18th. This margin is creeping up on last week's result of 76 points.
Third for the quarter, and Toma took that mark in between 3 or 4 Buffalo players. They all looked at each other and No one wanted to go the spoil, and Waratahs continue to dominate this game just by work rate and their use of the football. Their turnovers have been very good. They've hardly turned the football over in unforced situations, whereas Buffaloes have turned it over about 13, or they have turned it over 13 times in unforced situations.
Waratah set to march on in this final series in style. Westerberg up against Atkinson in the middle. Joe Anderson causes a stalemate. Somehow it's squeezed out. Jared Stokes paddles it forward to Chris Williams. Stokes goes again. The trademark spin was maybe a little bit early because he was then wrapped up in a tackle. Williams taken down off the footy. Play on the call. Jared Stokes to the hot spot. There was nothing hot there for the Buffs, although Paul Campbell runs onto the footy. Can he trap it? He controls. He's got support from Jalen Clark, who's got three. He's 50 out. Set sails on goal. Vacant goal. There's some holding going on there from White. It didn't matter in the end. He had to release his opponent. And McKenzie takes the mark in the last line of defence.
McKenzie's another underrated player. He's not a big name. Done some big jobs all year. Don't know about that kick though.
Turned it over to Philpott. Back into Clark. Now a chance to line up for goal number 4. McKenzie not known as a key position player, Rick, but his mobility on White is an asset.
Yeah, after Christmas, he's done some decent jobs at fullback on some good players.
So Clark, in a losing side, a chance to become the leading goal scorer on the ground. 3 Tars have picked 3 goals. Clark's got 3. This one's right across the face, and White gets a hand on it, and it goes over the line for out of bounds.
Talking about this unheralded Waratahs defence, 8's always my number, 8 goals. I reckon if you can keep the opposition in NTFL final series, and you'll look at the history of the last 10 years, if you keep a side under 8 goals, you'll win the game. And they've done that today, and I think it's a figure they've probably got to look at as a team. And if you don't do that, I don't think you'll lose. If you can keep a side under 8, you'll win most NTFL games of football, especially in the last 10 years. So they've done it today. We'll see how they go for the rest of the final series.
They were pretty good last week against the same side too, Rick, holding them down scoreless.
No big names, but they do the job.
Stevens, Keranua's back on the ground for the Tars. Comes to Blake, to the vacant wing. Keranua's pace gets him to the front. Good shell, Mincook in fact it was. Good tackle though by Kelvin Williams. Frustration shoves Mincook away.
Free kick.
And gives away a free. No, Williams got it. Kelvin Williams. In the Chris Williams direction. Too high for him. Westerberg at the back. Sambono off the back. Just tries to keep it in play along the boundary line. Ray goes out of bounds. And there'll be a throw-in. 18-9 to 7-10. 65 points the difference. Winner through to the loser of the qualifying final later this afternoon between the TIO Bombers and the Southern District Crocs. Westerberg wins the tap. Matty Campbell overruns it. Comes to Keranuit. Tried to shrug the Bradley Stokes tackle. Ball is jarred free. Mid sidestepping by Brodie Carroll. Corrie collects, keeps it in play. Trupp, good shepherding against Barrett. Comes to Johnston at centre half back. Breaking hard for him is Jackson Clark. Goes in that direction. Kick not great though. Coming the other way, Toma opens up for Waratah, controls the footy, vacant goal square. He's pointed in that direction by Tatupu, and Toma gets his 3rd. Tars matched their score of last week with about 5 or 6 minutes to go. They might get a 150, Wally.
Yes, they're going nicely. Just a poor turnover then by Darwin. They just had no purpose real. There was no one presenting themselves. Their work rates dropped right off. And Waratahs continue just to keep their structures in place and keep working hard. And as we see Darryl White come to the bench again, he's really struggling on that left knee, on that right knee. Rick?
Yeah, it's not a good sight. So, done well at his age. To be playing at this level of football is unbelievable.
Triple premiership player in the AFL for the Lions. As much bandaging and strapping is on his knee as is on Joey Anderson's head, but that hasn't really affected his play today. Just a cut in the second quarter, I think it was.
So recall back in the centre of the ground from a bad bounce. Players reset, the umpire resets.
You're watching 7-2's coverage of the NTFL thanks to TIO, Naffles, Appia and MacArthur River Mining as the Tars go forward again. Keranua opposed to Stevenson. Little backhander trying to push it on to Mincook. Goes out of bounds.
Their systems out of the middle, Waratahs, are as good as anyone's. I think if districts were to lose tonight, just put on young Westenberg and they'll be up against Gillhouse. Really got to give it to him, I think, next week and try and get the results out of the middle that they've got today.
Williams overruns the footy.
Gillhouse was pretty good against him a couple of weeks ago, so he's just got to fight back from that.
Comes to anchors. Long kick from the boundary line. That sums up the afternoon from the Tars. Abe Anchors gets a brilliant goal. That's his 4th. And Waratah get their 20th.
And that's their 5th goal straight for the quarter, Rick. They continue to do things very well, and when you're going that well in football, luck comes your way and goals like that go in.
I might be a bit of a sookie, but I'd have Anchors off the ground. I think I've called him off just then, he wouldn't come off, but is that important to him? Maybe I'm a little bit old-fashioned, a bit sookie as well, though, but...
What say? You let the big blokes go hard at it, but the little blokes got to protect.
I just think he's the best, or the second best after Cameron Islet player in the comp, and I'd want him next week. I'd hate something silly to happen late in the game when the game's over.
Got to hand it to Eddie Trupp. He's the blonde ruckman who's giving away about 45 kilos to Tutupu coming the other way. Had a crack at it, but it's gone to the Waratahs forward 50. Opens up here for them. Players around the footy. Little give was good. There's that man Anchors again. He wants 5. That's why he's still out there. Mincourt could control the footy. Gardner, or Godden it is, sees it out of bounds.
Sammy Waddell's another one, I think, a fly-in. I think they've reached their fly-in limit today, but I think they've got him in his back pocket as well. At centre forward, won their best and fairest last year, so they've got some depth and they're looking all right, Tars.
Can also be thrown back, can't he, Rick?
Yeah, well, he won the best and fairest as a back. And that's a very good point.
So they've got great depth. Brodie Carroll stops and props and passes beautifully. Oh, Gardner drops the mark. Stevenson mops up for the Buffaloes. Has got too many options. They've stopped the Buffs. Trupp about to be run down. Had the poise to stop and find his teammate in Philpott. Philpott to half forward. Sambono, no goals today. He's been marked superbly, and McCarthy right on his hammer, and then tackles him, strips him of the footy. Maybe a bit unlucky. He was over the football, and McCarthy's been penalised. Sambono wins it out on the wing.
See, McCarthy was right with him. We talk about starting points. McCarthy's a very disciplined player.
Sambono just pops it up. Nothing really moving. Shillaby has now got a couple to beat. One of those is Blake. Anderson fights on hard. Shillaby finds some space, gives it off to Mitchell, and Mitchell gets a belated goal for the Buffs.
So it's Buffalo's 3rd goal for the quarter and Mitchell's 2nd for the game. And Joey Anderson and Shillaby work together with Mitchell to be a 3-on-3 in their forward 50, and they eventually get a goal. Waratahs are back in the middle, setting themselves up for this centre bounce.
That's what I like about him, Wally. Just the communication at centre bounces is extraordinary. Everyone, they get together, they've all got a plan.
Bankers is coming off the blood rule.
Had to get him off somehow, so someone had to cut him.
I think a teammate did it, Rick.
Pulled Sam Flanagan off.
Well, that's a good sign. None of them want to come off. They just want to keep playing.
Yeah, very good sign.
Good attitude. In the end, it's Simpson who comes on to replace Anchors. 24 minutes gone last quarter. It's Waratah through to the first semi-final. They'll play either Tiwi Bombers or Southern Districts Crocs. Trupp plays a strong tackle, but it comes back to Barrett of the Tars. Ray Clever held his ground, dishes off, comes to Gardner on the left. Goal coming up to the Tars. They're irrepressible, the men in red and white. They get their 21st of the afternoon.
And And they're 6 straight for the quarter, Rob. So their finishing with this breeze has been very, very good. 21-9 in this sort of conditions when it's gusty. They just run hard and kick the ball very, very well. And they use each other. That first give to break the lines open works really well for Waratahs. They're a really well-drilled unit today.
Yeah, we talk about defensively with the 8 goals, or keeping a side under 8 goals. 21 goals in a final, Wally, is fairly impressive.
Very impressive, Rick. Very impressive. And it's the way they've gone about it too.
Tupu grabs out of the ruck, throws on the left boot. They want another one. They might get it. Simpson to Tomar. He's lining up for number 4. Goes short instead, standing the way. Johnston at the top of the goal square for the Buffs.
Suns only kicked 1 goal in the first quarter as well, didn't they?
Yeah, correct. 2 goals.
2 goals.
Yeah.
Very similar to last week, wasn't it, Walt?
Yeah, it was 2-2 to 1-5 at quarter time.
Shillabeer out on a long lead. Gooch right there for company. Wins the footy. Stokes slays a strong tackle on Barrett. Jars the ball free. So dying stages of this match. End of the season for the Buffaloes. They lost last year's grand final by a point. They've been a shadow of that team in the latter part of the season. Blake controls the footy, then lets it go. Jared Stokes sends the Buff forward in the direction of Philpott, who goes to ground pretty easily in the end. Comes to Waratah, gives to Carroll. Carroll's kick in the Simpson direction. Jalen Clark there, pushes him off the footy, couldn't complete the mark. Simpson holds his ground, gives to Tomar. Clark battles on. Simpson doesn't have the football, should win the free against Anderson. Is there an advantage paid? There's not. Everyone's stopped, and so Simpson will have the ball back in the centre.
Just on Waratah, and this is to kids out there, I think kids give it away too easy. I think, and I might be wrong, I think he got dropped from a Div 1 grand final about 2 or 3 years ago. Here he is, as an important player as there is to Waratahs, been absolutely terrific in that back line and terrific all year. And a lot of kids, things don't go their way or what might get dropped from a game of footy. There's always tomorrow. Just keep working hard. And I reckon Waratah's a really, really good story there.
Lovely kick to Godden on the searching lead. Buffalo's defenders stagnant. Godden wanted the footy, and he charged out from full forward, and he'll line up for goal number 4 to match Abe Ankers as the leading goal scorers for the Tars, to bring up number 22. Won by 76 points against this opposition last week. They lead by 77 before this kick. Godden for an 83-point win and to send the Tars into the first semi-final. The kick is away to the left. It's a 78-point win. A couple of words each, Wally, and the Tars go on.
Well, the way they've played, Rob, I think they've got a good opportunity to continue to grow their game, and they get better each week. You've watched them after Christmas, and they have got better. They've had some wins and they've had some losses, but their losses haven't been great. And if you can, as Rick said, if you can kick 21 goals in a game of football and keep the opposition to under 8, you're on your way.
But Rick, Waratah the team to beat in the finals now?
Not the team to beat. I think it's still extremely open, but they've blown me away, their improvement, Waratahs. They have been very, very impressive. Can they win it? Yeah, but I still reckon it's a very open ball game.
Waratahs over Darwin by 78 points in the elimination final.